Today's daf is Masechus Nedarim, daf Samach Daled. It's a new parak Rebbe Lezer. The top line, the very top line. So this parak Rebbe Lezer, is going to discuss different ways that you can make a Pesach and a Neder and say that Neder is no longer a Neder. Zakta Heilige Mishnah Rebbe Lezer says, if somebody is shoyal on his neder and he does not have a Pesach with his neder, he doesn't have an opening, he doesn't have a way out of his neder. So what do? Paischin la'adam b'chvoid avi imai. So the chacham or the bezin that he's coming to, they could try to find this person a Pesach for his neder, that al yedei his neder he was mamayit in the respect and the covet of his mother or his father. For instance, they could tell him, like, would you have made a neder had you known that if somebody does not keep his promise, his Nedarim, that he's called a rasha, and his mother and his father get ashamed from his Nedarim. So if he says that if he would have known, he would have not made the neder, so then the chacham and the bezin could matter his neder. That's what Rebbe Lezer says. Chum say no, you cannot make a Pesach with Chavod Avi Imai. Why? So Chum say no, you can't. Why? Because we're afraid that maybe really he made the neder even al das that will cause a bizayon for his parents. It's just that when he comes in front of a Chacham and Bezdin, he doesn't care to make up a story to them and say that he wasn't that he's afraid of his parents' covet. And really, he's just saying with his mouth that he has charad on the neder. But inside his heart, he really wants to mekayim and neder. So come to that he's going to be matter the neder without charad. Amar Reb Tzadok says, he explains Rebbe Lezer shita, he could be pesach for the guy chvoid al v'imoi. So Reb Tzadok says that until you go ahead and you make a Pesach chvoid al v'imoi, first you should pay paischel b'chvoid hamakim. You say that, you tell him that he's taking away from the honor of Hashem by making Nedarim. Amru Loi, so the Chacham told Reb Tzadok, Im Kain, that you hold that Rebbe Lezer is saying that you can make a Pesach in Mechoid HaMakoim. So Im Kain, Ein Nedarim. So the Chacham basically telling Rebbe Tzadok, Im Kain, Ein Nedarim. There is no such thing as a neder, because a guy can never say, even if a guy you want to say, L'maisa the Chacham argued on Rebbe Lezer because a person's going to be meiz in front of Chacham and Bezdin, even though he really doesn't mean it. But l'chayr, if you hold you can make a Pesach of Chvoid HaMakom, no guy's going to go ahead in front of Bezdin and be meiz and say he doesn't care about Chvoid HaMakom. So he's saying, therefore, it can't be. So the Chacham is saying, even you Rebbe Lezer hold you can make a Pesach Chvoid HaMakom. He's saying it doesn't make sense, because no guy is going to come in front of a Chacham or Bezdin and going to agree that, oh yeah, I would have made a neder even though it was my thing in Kavod HaMakom. So therefore, and even if the guy would not hesitate to make a neder out Kavod HaMakom, he's still going to lie to Bezdin. So therefore, you don't really have anything you can base it on, making a Pesach, telling a guy out there's Mamait and Kavod HaMakom. So therefore, even Rebbe Lezer's maskim zong and the Chacham and Reb Tzadok that you can't make a Pesach Kavod HaMakom. And even though by regular Nedarim Chachamim hold that you can make a Pesach B'chayid Av V'imoi, but Moedim Chachamim Rebbe Lezer that you couldn't make a Pesach B'chayid Av V'imoi if the neder was b'davar shebeinoi lebein av v'imoi. If he made a neder between him and his parents, for instance, that he's going to aser on his parents to have enough from him, And the halacha is shapoischach loy b'chvoid av v'imay. So why is Chacham masking in this case? Why shapoischach loy b'chvoid av v'imay? Because since we see that his parents' covered is not so chomer, and he already had the chutzpah to aser them and hana, so we're not choishish that he's going to lie to Bezin and say that he would have not been neider, even though really in his heart he would have been neider, because you see that he already made a nether to his parents, so he's not going to have. We don't have that fear that everyone's just going to say, oh, I wouldn't have made a nether for my parents, when really inside they're not thinking that way. Okay, so let's get Mishnah weiter. Another machlekes Rabbi Elazar and Chacham va'oid. Another kula in Hilchos Nedarim. Amar Rabbi Elazar says, Poischin bin noilad. A chacham or bezin can find a pesach for the one that made the neder, the noider, even in something that was loy bala oilam at the time of the neder. Rather, it was only born after the neder, only came about after the neder. Chachamim say, no, you cannot make a pesach for something that only came around after the neder. It has to be that tzibur was already there b'shas and neder, just that the one that made neder didn't think of it. And then you could tell him, that if he would have paid attention and thought about this thing, then he would have not made a neder, melas and neder b'taras. But noila, to say that if he would have known, he would have not made the neder, you can't do is why? Because the noider, they hold that the noider Avad did not have this in mind, because Avad he had in mind to make a neder in any way, being that there was his level oilam, wasn't around, that whole siba is not around. Zok Mishnah, for instance, what's a case? Ketzad Hazachayich Pesach by Noilad. If someone says Amar Kainim Shani Nena Ish Pliny, if someone says I'm not going to have enough from that person, Benasa Sefer, and that person that he said he's not going to have enough from became a Talmud Chacham, and he needed him for a roy, I had to ask him a shayla. Oy shahaya mesias benay, or that person was marrying off his son, and it was normal for all people of the city when somebody marries off their son that the whole city goes to the chasan and eats there. Va'amar, and the noider says, you see a dash, and I know that it becomes a sefer Talmud Chacham Hashem basis b'nei b'karev, or that he's going to marry off a son. You see noider, I would have not made a neder. Or another case of noilet is kainim l'bayis and nichnas, he asks himself in this house and he goes in v'nasa beis hakneses, the house turns into beis hakneses. Va'amar, the noider says, you see a day. Had I known that I become a shul, I would not have made the neder. So in all these cases, Rabbi Elazar is matir to make a pesach and such on neder in this type of a case. Chachamim hold that it's aser. And the shita mikubetza springs from the re'im that the Tana had to say, let us know these three cases of noilad, which is sefer, mesis, benoi, or bias v'nasa basic knesses. Why? Because each one of these cases, one is more shchiach and more common than the other case, and you might have thought that it's not considered noilad. So that's why the Mishnah is telling you each one is a bigger chedesh than the next. Zokt the Heilige Gemara. The Mishnah said that you could that if you say Poischim b'chved hamakom, then we don't have Nedarim. So Fret Gemara Mai, what is the kavanah in the Mishnah when it says ein Nedarim? We don't have Nedarim. Zok the Gemara is machlekes Abaye and Rava. Amar Abaye, im kain that you pesach a neder from the fact that you say that you tell them that had you known you'd be mayim b'chved hamakom, you tell the noider that ein Nedarim Nedarim yafa. Then Eibezoin Nedarim will not become mutter kalacha, because you don't have a charata. Because avada that even if a guy is nadar al das covered hamakom, he's not going to be meis panav. He's not going to have the chutzpah to say that who is meikal in the covered hamakom. And every guy is going to lie and say that he did not make a nadar al das, that he would take away some covered hamakom, and they would have charata in front of Bezdim telling Bezdin that, but really inside their hearts, they really want to be Mekayim the Neder, and come to us that you're being Mater Nedarim, Shaloi Kalacha, without Charata. You need to have Charata. They're not really regretting it. They're just saying it because they're embarrassed to say that that they would have made a Neder, even though might come on Makom. So that's a bias shot in the Mishnah, and Nedarim made a Tarm. That they're not Niter Kalacha. Rava says, it says in the Mishnah, Imkain Nedarim means Imkain, that you can make a Pesach Choyda Makom, Ein Nedarim Neshalom. The person's not going to be shoyal to a Chacham on his Nedarim. Why? Because since with this Pesach you can matter all Nedarim, so people that make Nedarim will say that Memela Chacham or Bezdin is going to be mayed at Al Kavanah Makom, so why should I even bother coming? And they'll just be between them and themselves. A guy makes an ed, they'll just say, okay, it's fine. I'll be matter Al Kavanah Makom. And Lamaisa, the Torah says not the way. The Torah says that a person, in order to be matir, has to go in front of a Chacham and Bezdin. So therefore, we don't want that to happen. The guy should not go to Bezdin or Chacham and matir. So that's why Zog in the Rava that's pshat in the Mishnah that says Im Kain Ein Nedarim. The guy be Pesach, making a Pesach Choyda Makom. So frek the Gemara and Rava Tanan and Moed Chacham or Belezer. It says a Chacham and Belezer when you make a neder b'davar should be noel bein av v'imay. If he asks his parents or no, should put him b'chvei av v'imay. So frek the Gemara like this: Bishloim ala Abai da Amar. Bishloim is very good according to Abai. It says you can't make a Pesach b'chvei da makoim. And who are then your parents according to Chachamim? Why? Because Im Kain Ein Nedarim Nedarim Yafeh. Obviously, you're not having a good heter on Nedarim because nobody's going to be amazed panav to be megala, to reveal is not afraid of Chavar HaMakom or the Chavar Harav. And kumta is that they're only going to be mischart and neder befi with their mouth, but not belibam, not in their hearts. So obviously, it's very understood. So hacha, in the case of a neder beinoil ben avi imay, Chacham agree that you couldn't make a Pesach b'chvaydam, and his parents came in a chatzafle because he already asked no, so how chatzafle came in the chatzafle. So Mela, we know he's not going to be afraid to actually say he didn't care about his parents' thing if he taka did not. Then he's going to say, and he's going to hear the truth out of the person. Al Rava the Amar, according to Rava, that says that the reason why you can't be Pesach chvaydam makom and chvayd harav according to Chachamim is because imkinen shal chacham, because a person can come to Matan Dharma himself and will not even bother going to Bezdin or Chacham. So Hacha, in this case where a guy was Madir Avavi Imoi, how come the Chacham agree that you can make a Pesach? L'chor, you still have the problem, according to Rava, that if you see that a person, l'chor, you should be chodesh, that if people see that you can make a Pesach and on this type of neder, when it's beinoil ben avi imay, they'll come to Mata in their own nedarim. So you should still have that problem, Rava's problem. Everything Mara Amri came in the chol nidre lo yisakelo in the lav chacham hachanami poischen. I'll say that since every neder that's not beinoil imay, which is every other neder lo yisakelo in the lav chacham, the neder will see that it's not enough not to go to a chacham. You can't be mad at yourself. So hachanami by neder beinoil ben avi imay, because he's morgal to go to a chacham. So even by these nedarim, in this case, he will go to a chacham because that's what he's doing all the time. So therefore, he holds you could be paischen chaydav imay. That's pshat on the chacham. We're not afraid he's coming to matter on his own. Zakti Gemara Baiter, the Mishnah said, "Va'oidem Belezer paischem enoilet." Belezer said you can paischem enoilet, chacham aser. What's the reason? Because the Noida doesn't think that this thing is going to come, and even if he thinks about it, that maybe there's such a thing, he would not hesitate to make a neder for this reason. So I would say the Pesach is not halacha. That's pshat the chacham that aser davar shel b'laylam, to make a Pesach of davar shel b'laylam. So fragmenting our my time there Belezer. What's the reason that Belezer holds you could be make a Pesach on a neder b'neder. So why? Because l'cher misvar, you should say like l'chachamim that you can't be Pesach on neder because the guy would never. Guy's not really thinking about something that's not that's label la'olam b'shas neder. I'm thinking Gemara. Amar Chizda Makra. The pasuk says in Shemois Parak Dal pasuk Yites Vayomer Hashem Moshe Midyan Leichshav Mitzrayim, go to Mitzrayim Kemesu Kol Ha'anashim Hamavakshim Zashecha. All the people died that are looking to hurt you. So the shaila is, why did the pasuk have to give a reason? Kemesu Kol Ha'anashim. Teretz says that Moshe made a shvua that he's going to sit next to a Shver Yisrael Midyan because he was afraid to go back to Mitzrayim because of his enemies that were after him. When Hashem told Moshe he should go back to Mitzrayim, so Hashem made a Pesach on his neder. Hashem said, that if you, Moshe, would have known b'shas your neder, he said you're not going back to Mitzrayim, that these people will die, you would have not made a neder. So from here, Belezer learned that you could Pesachim in Nilad, because this was Nilad, because these people didn't die yet at the time of the neder. So for Gemara, Vaham is in Nilad, and this Misa is Nilad. It's a newer thing that happened only after that the day died. So you see from here, it's like the Gemara is Muchach Mikan Shapoischim in Nilad. You see, you could be make a Pesach ben Nilad. So for the Gemara, if Rabbi Lezer Taka learns out of Psukim that you can make a Pesach ben Nilad, Rabbana Maitamaya was trying to Rabbana to argue with the it's a vor in the pasuk, not like Shittas Rabbanon. It's like the Gemara Kasavri. Rabbanon hold it's not arrived from the pasuk in Nilad. Why? Because you don't have to explain Kimesu Kol Ha'anashim like the Pashup Pshat that the Mamish died. Why? Because you can ask Azai, Hanumi Maisi. Did these people Ataka actually die? Said, Kol Mokim Shenemar Nitzim and Nitzavim. Anyway, it says the entire lashon of Nitzim and Nitzavim. And we don't know who it's going on that was Nitzim and Nitzavim. Einan Ela Dasam Aviram. It's referring to Dasam Aviram. Kumta is that what he's saying, he's talking to Chachamim, that these were the people that were Mevakash's Nefesh of Moshe. It was Dasam Aviram, like it says in Shmois Parak Beis Pasuk Gimel Hu Tesvav Yetziv Masheni went out the second day. V'hineshna Nashim Ivrim Nitzim. There were two people standing there fighting, and there was Dasam Aviram. Yom Rasha, and he said, one told the other one, "Why are you hitting your friend?" V'Yirm Misamchal Argain At the Omer Sharak Des Amitzur Yirm Moshe Yishrabar Sadavar Azeh. And it says that Moshe killed the person because he had his friend, and then he wanted to kill Moshe, and Moshe ran away, and he went to Midyam. So the fact that we see that these were the two people, Mavaksha Nafsha, you say, how did Hashem tell Moshe, Kimeza Kol Ha'anashim Mavaksha Nafshecha? The Chari Dasan and Viram were still alive. Fragging the Rabbanon, Mardi and Kasha. They were alive until the Ma'aseh of Kairach. And only then they were swallowed up in the ground. So you see that the pasuk, obviously, just because it says Kimeza Kol Ha'anashim Mavaksha, you can't assume for sure that it means Kipshuta, that they died, because you see they did not die. Ela Amar Rish Lakish, says Rish Lakish, Kimesu, what does it mean Kivesu? It means Shiyardim Nechseim. It means that they lost all their assets. They went poor, they went broke. And that's why the pasuk considers that Mesim, because our ani is Chashem Kemes. And when they're poor, Paro's not going to care what they're saying, and there's nothing to be afraid of them. And even though they were Yardim and Chseim after the Shvua, still, so l'chayr maybe it's Viter Noilad. So what was Hashem telling Moshe? They went poor. L'chayr it happened afterwards. So it's Viter. That's a Davar Shalai B'Lo'elam. So the pshat is state in, who says this? Why is it not Davar Shalai B'Lo'elam? The Ran and the Rosh say that Anias is Betsuya. It's common, so it's not a Davar Shalai B'Lo'elam. So l'chayr you could tie in Rabbi Lezer. Why is Misa good kasha? Why is Rabbi Lezer saying that? Rabbi Lezer is saying that Misa is Davar Shalai B'Lo'elam. L'chayr it's also Mitsuya. Death is pretty common. So the The Meiri and the Beis Yosef seems to address this in Yeridis and Rish Chav Ches the Ramas Chavain, and he says that still Anias is more Mitsuya than Misa. Misa is not that common. Okay, Zakta Heli Gemara Baita. So since the Gemara just said that Ani is Chashuv Gemes, the Gemara brings another example of people that are Chashuv Gemes. Amar Bishom says, Kol Adam She'en Libanim Chashuv Gemes. Anybody that does not have any children is considered like a dead person. Shenemar. It says in the pasuk, Bereshis Parak Lamed Pasuk Al Vateir Rachel Kalo Yald Al Yaakov. Rachel saw that Yaakov did not have any kids. But Kani Rachel Bachisa, she was jealous of her sister. Vateir Yaakov, she told Yaakov, Hava li banim, bring me children. Im ayin mesa neichi. If not, I'm considered like a dead person. So you see that she was saying she'd be like a dead person. She doesn't have any children. But Tanya learned in the Brayasar, Bao Chashum Kames, 4 people considered a mace. Ani, Mitzayra, with Suma, a blind person, Mishan Libanim. Ani, how do you know? The Chsiv Kamesa Kol Anashim. It says in this pasuk we just had Kamesa Kol Anashim. And like we said before, this last pshat in the Gemara, according to Rabbanan, according to Chachamim, we teach that it means that they became poor, they went broke. They became aniyim. Mitzayra, Dechsiv al Nasihi Kames. It's talking about Miriam, who became Tzaras. Suma, how do you know a blind person? It says in Eicha Paragon, Pasuk Vav, Machshakim Hashivani. Yirmiyah Navi, he compared the fact after the Churban Beis Hamikdash to sitting in darkness, and he couldn't see. Kemesei Olam, he said, like sumim that they don't see the world. So he compared sumim, blind people, to dead people. Misha ein lebanim is why they have killed the kids. The chsiv, it says by Rachel havali banim and ayam misa neichi. And just like B'Shua Malevi Darshan before that, she was saying that if she's childless, she's like a dead person.